use the other one.
You're on.
So we are live on the interwebs, and let's get started. So can I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
I motion to approve the agenda.
Second?
Questions or comments? And if not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Linda, are you able to give us an update, please?
Yes, I can. So our last input in February the 28th, the balance at that time was
That would be better.
was 5,000. I want to be exact. I don't want to go on record that it's incorrect. So let's do it. I printed it out already. There's some papers already. But I do have it. Look at the end of February, vote out with 5,000. $5,020.85. That was the end of February statement, which is the last statement. Currently, we are sitting at $14,888.85, and that was due to a $10,000 deposit that was entered into the account on 3/1. We made a deposit of $10,000. So that's why the balance right now is $14,888.85.
Great. I think we had a couple of purchases through the month. Some supplies for the Welcome Center, and the electric bill for $96. So that's where we stand. We are scheduled to pay youth bill $3,750 for this year, which the board approved last time. And I think, what other expenses do we have? Oh, we're also going to be paying the state theater taxes, which we need to get taken care of. So the board approved that as well. Anything else you want to tell us, Linda?
No, that was it, and you're getting into those two payments that came on. Other than that, we're fine. We are waiting on a check from the Community Foundation. I don't know if Rick has got that down in the minute somewhere. And we did make a payment to Brown Locksmith
That's right.
for the theater. So that was done. And we are waiting on some funds from the Barron County Fund for $632. And that's for some maintenance work done for the theater. That's all I have.
Right. So, and that there was there is a transfer. We're waiting for the cash to actually get to us, but that's coming from the State Theater Fund at the Barium Community Foundation to reimburse us in the regular budget for the money we paid to Browns already for the locksmith. And then that leaves $500 for roof repairs, which we will draw against when Richard has supplies for the roof to start working on sealing up holes in the theater roof.
That's outdoors or indoors?
On top. The roof. And that may just be a down payment on those repairs, but you need some money to get started and just something so we can get some of those places closed up or closed down to get the building to start drying out. So I think that's all for Treasury then. So moving on to marketing, John is on his way. Or did you have a question?
Do I? Okay. Okay, sure. Okay, so what was the 10,000 for?
The 10,000 is 5,000 for 2022, a sponsorship from INM. They were the sponsors, the presenting sponsors for Holiday Lights celebration for 2022, and a prepayment for Holiday Lights sponsorship as presenting sponsor for 2023. So those are unrestricted funds that we can use any way we want, happily. It will help us not only with some of the expenses that we're paying off, it will reimburse us for some of the money that we haven't written a check yet for, but also it will help us with our expenses at the Welcome Center because we can use that money to draw against for rent and utilities. So we should be in pretty good shape for the next few months to a year.
Okay. So my other question is, are we able to get a copy of the reports of financial of like what came in and what it was, for, or how does that work? Or is that just we need to have a committee, a separate committee for that?
Well, Linda is the treasurer, so
So-
anything you need or want to see,
Mm-hmm.
Linda can help you with that.
So it's not
Because we don't have
process.
more than 3 transactions a month,
Mhm.
we don't have a financial statement.
Well, no, I just didn't know it was already a practice so that when we grow,
Oh,
we were
as we
already
grow,
in the
right.
process of it, so.
Right, as we grow, we are going to need to work on developing, well, first of all, getting software that will allow us to do QuickBooks so we can pay and record from QuickBooks. So we're not at that point yet, but we need to be set up soon for that. I agree with you.
Cause I would like to see him though, but I'll just give it. Thank you.
No, you're entitled to see that, and we don't want anybody to feel like there's nothing you can't see. Absolutely.
Appreciate
That's why you're here. Thank you.
And I know you've been waiting for, I remember money, they had to rewrite checks, so I remember that.
Yeah.
So did we get so we can wait for his report time to ask him about that. Sorry,
No, it's,
it just made me think of that. I'm sorry.
right, it's not on the agenda, so if you want to bring it up now, that's fine, because it does affect this. So,
So for the chair, I'm
Sure.
gonna ask.
we're not that formal. Go ahead, just ask.
So, I'm sorry. So one of our previous meetings, we were talking about having some designated mailbox or process where we receive our mail so that we don't have to end up in the PO box.
Yes.
And you were gonna speak to someone, so I'm just wondering.
I must admit, I did not follow through on that. I will do so today.
Cool, thank you, thank you.
So John will be here, we'll ask him to report, and basically we need to schedule the next meeting for the marketing committee because the committee has not met. And we most definitely have work to do. So we'll hear what he has to say about scheduling. So Welcome Center, we've had volunteers. Haven't had too many visitors when we've been open. But spring is coming and I expect that we will have more. The Art Hop is going to be this Friday, and I've committed us to being open that evening. We don't have an artist scheduled. There wasn't a lot of organization on the part of our partners with this, so we didn't have any information about who was available or any of that stuff to work on. So with short notice, I just felt like it wasn't something we could do. They just put out their notice that we were going forward with it a few days ago, about a week ago. There was a meeting last night. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, and also, no, it was pre-planned, like the agenda has been out. What happened is that they take a session off, or so many months off, and this is the first one of the year, so for this coming up year, so it's always kind of that one and the last one, because the weather is kind of iffy, and it's a lot of new people that are on it now, so presidents are no longer president, so it's a transition as well, but, so it's not a random date that they just decided, well, let's just do this date, and anybody that was connected we received the agenda, or the calendar, I'm sorry, for the RHOPs. So last night the meeting was great. Kate came too. Kate is the librarian, but she came as well, and it was really a push for stretching to an extent where they came down. Who wants to be a part of it? The venue farther down, the event space.
Secret
Golf.
Yeah, Secret, he wants to be involved. We were talking about getting Summit Financial. Summit Financial might be able to come and be at the Welcome Center. I think that would make even, because it's a weekend and they're not technically open. But so it was, I should have brought the flyer in, but it was maybe about 10 vendors. And then actually Kate brought up whether or not they were accepting, like, what kind of artists. And we ended up talking about, at one point, remember, we agreed to house some of the mason jar people that was rehoused. Since mason jar stretched, it took the whole building now, so it's no longer crafts and things inside. It's all the restaurant, totally the restaurant. And so they never got back with anybody, and because they were supposed to be around for the last art hop. But the artist, so if anybody is interested, the artist can be, like somebody that makes ornaments, crafts. It can be, whatever. They're pretty open. And so April is the first one, but then it's a spring one, then it's a summer one. And so if you want to be involved, and then I can always, shoot it to you if you don't have it, and you can just share it with everybody that was here, and that way you can plan for the next month. And that's what we were talking about at the meeting, have some kind of flyer for because it's St. Patrick's Day. So it'll be traffic. That's why like Brick House was out, because they're gonna be too busy to be catering to our house. So it's going to be the first event. It will be nice, and we are going to be involved, and they're excited about that, and we're fostering a better relationship too. So.
Thank you. So we will want to be open from 5 to 8 on Friday for the Art Hop. Previously we had talked about having an AARP trainee volunteer from their program for seniors to help with job skills. They pay, just a reminder, they pay people to get training in various places as long as the business is willing to take a person and there's no expense to the business. I've investigated and filled out the forms and everything. They came to inspect our facility, and we have a couple of issues that need to be resolved with the Welcome Center as it's set up. So I have talked to our representative from Prairie Development, and we're going to see if we can get a couple of different small things, but to get them taken care of so that we can get a staff person who will be there to help with some of this administrative stuff. So there's a little bit more support that way for us all, for all the volunteers especially. So we have just signed the lease for March, which is a little late, but before I give it to our landlord, we need to have a motion to approve the lease through the end of March, the renewal.
I make a motion that we approve the lease through the end of March.
I second.
All right. Any more discussion? All
We appreciate you.
in favor?
Discussion, are we gonna go month to month or?
Well, we need to finish this one, and I asked them to consider drawing up a lease to get us through 2023, so that we're not month to month through the rest of the year.
So next month, maybe.
Right. So that would be hopefully ready for us to talk about it in April, and I will get you a copy before the April meeting. That way you can take a look at it and see what we're committing ourselves to through the rest of the year. And so, any other comments or questions about the lease? No. All right, so all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right. Next, there is a grant opportunity. It's a mini grant through the Michigan Municipal League for placemaking. It's not a very large grant, but with the extended lease through the rest of the year, there are a couple of things outdoors that I think would benefit what we're doing there. And one of them is to connect the decks to the sidewalk. It's especially helpful for people who have limited mobility to get them up from the sidewalk and onto the ramp so they can get to the door. And then potentially on the other side to connect up to the stairway. But that's a project that we will need to, cost out and quickly try to make an application. And in the process too, occurred to me that if we could possibly do something like a pickleball or a volleyball court or something that isn't too expensive, that we might be able to squeeze that in the grant behind us, so that we can have activity that takes place there, and an opportunity maybe to rent some rackets or something. Because it's, go out and play for a bit.
I'm sure I missed something. How long is our lease extension?
Oh, at this point, we're extending to the end of March, and then we're talking about extending to the year. That will do it. So I'd like your permission, please, to grant me permission to apply for the mini grant for this project. It's kind of a short timetable, so I'd like your permission to apply for the grant, and I will provide you with the details as we put them together.
So you need a motion?
Please.
I make a motion to provide approval for you to apply for the Michigan Municipal League grant.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, well, we've got a second here, so we're all set. And then, any more discussion? I know it's kind of vague at this point, but.
No, just to, you reminded me when you were talking about the different activities. I know me and you also mentioned that you could even show movies out there.
Right.
So it's basically, we looked at it, And we kind of like, if we put a screen on the back of the welcoming center, we had to take in consideration the way the sun shines. So then we thought about putting it on the back of Simon's wall, that one wall where he stores his whatever. That way people can sit in that lawn area and see the movie. And they also can sit in the patio of the brewery and see the movie. So that's what we kind of weigh. How much will it cost? Absolutely, probably nothing, because we already have a screen, we already have a projector,
Well, and that's doing it in collaboration with the library who has the
Yes,
license to
and
show
the library.
films.
Correct. So Katie said that we could use the library's license to show whatever movies we need to show.
As long as we're co-sponsoring an event.
Correct. So it's in collaboration, it'll be library, Parks and Rec, PDA. And that's it. Probably the arts district probably might want to join too once they find out, but right now that's what it is.
So let's try to get a couple people before the next meeting to sit down and talk with the library and maybe look at a calendar so we can make this come together. It's more than just an idea. And
But she sends me the calendar when is the park? So April 1st, so sometime in April, we make the calendar for the movies, because we do the ones on Friday.
right, so I'm just saying we want to get into that schedule because it will help us promote the event
Mhm.
and then also to work out the details. And I don't think we should do that today here, but if we can do that for the April meeting, we can present it to the full board to understand exactly what we'll be doing. Okay,
Right, with more information, correct.
all right. So on the motion, are there any questions on the motion?
No, sorry,
Yeah.
no.
Quick question, sorry, my apologies, I walked in late. Are we voting on extending the lease and/or applying for a mini grant to do the extended activities area?
Voting on this is correct.
We voted just before you came to extend the lease to the end of March, and we will be voting in April on extending through 2023. So, this grant doesn't make sense if we don't have any kind of long-term arrangement that makes sense, So both of those things will come together hopefully for April.
Yeah, because Richard had asked about whether doing month to month, if we could have like a year lease, a long one, so then hence we'll have one next. And we'll get it prior to, so we'll know what we're agreeing to, so before the meeting.
Okay, so the motion is for
It's
a
for
grant to do an activities area behind or near that plot where the container welcome center is?
Yeah, and
Okay.
the priority being, with whatever money we get, that we will do the pavement, and then whatever money's left over, we will figure out how much we can do to do the rest of that. And I'll have all that as much as I can for you by April meeting, so that we can know exactly what we're into.
So the motion was for him to apply for it.
So, if there are any other questions or concerns?
Sorry, the pavement could be used for other activities.
No, it's to extend
The ramp,
the ramp to the sidewalk,
so people
Oh,
can.
so
okay,
people can.
so we don't have to walk over the grass.
Sort of an ADA thing, I assume.
Well,
And then those wheelchair accessible can get into.
it helps us with ADA, but it also with maintenance, it's practically impossible to clear the space to get us from the end of the ramp and the staircase to the sidewalk over the grass. It just is a real pain. And it's not safe or very accessible some days. So, so this will help us there. Any other questions or concerns about the application for the grant?
No,
Okay, hearing none. Please signify, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Where else are we here? This is probably a good point too, to introduce you to Kathy Pyle. She's here today with us from Novo. And Kathy, if you'd like to just say a few words about what we talked about.
Sure. I was invited here originally by Jerry Edwards, and I am the VP of Operations for Novo here. We were first in town as a cultivator processor as well as a retail location. The reason we chose Benton Harbor is because it is an area that we can give back, and that's pretty much what we stand for, is how we can help improve the communities that we're in. So with that being said, we're looking at helping with the planters out front along Main Street. And we'd like to work with the DDA and any other organizations that would like to help revitalize them, bring them back to life and make them inviting. We are holding a couple events at the livery to help raise money as fundraisers for those. And we're also working on a concert for the Blossom Time Black Party that's going to be held May 13th after the parade. All of these are in conjunction trying to raise money for these planters on top of what we are ourselves giving to the community. So those are just some of the areas that we're looking at. We'd love to step in and help where we're needed. We've done a lot of collections in the past for organizations, groups. Recently, we are one of the large sponsors for Habitat for Humanity for the veteran homes, for building the small homes. We are just about, like I said, community and give back is what we're about. So, happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, we talked about the number of planters and all that. We're going to see what potential budget would be. We haven't discussed yet our business arrangement about whether Novo's going to be making purchases or we will make purchases with money from Novo. We'll work all that out and come back to you in April. Our goal is to get them planted after the Blossom Parade. After, so that we'll be closer to
Juneteenth.
to warm weather. We don't have to worry about them freezing, knock on wood. And then also just because with hubbub of the parade and all, people won't really even see them. So it gives us enough time to get organized. So we'll be back, and Kathy and I, with a plan for you in April, but I just wanted to introduce you today. Do you have any questions for Kathy otherwise?
On the topic, not necessarily a question for you, but if we're not going to do them before the parade, which makes sense, it can be freezing and all that, maybe a once round of cleaning them up, like leveling them, would be a step toward beautification, not a big energy.
Sure. That could be
Yeah, we
done
can
before the
work through
parade.
that for sure.
So, so we still have time to work that out before we have to plunge into it.
Yeah, our team's pretty good at growing things. Make sure that.
We heard that.
No.
It's a good, I was thinking about how good that is, because I know I just happened to be around. I know some of the businesses were having issues because they were getting citations for planters that they didn't plant. So they're gonna love that. They're gonna love that. So we'll make sure they will say
Clean
that.
them up, make them look good.
Wow, that was one I didn't know.
You remember the one guy that had the accent? He came to the farmer's market. He was really fussy. He's like, "You help me with this," and it was. Jerry's like, "Okay," and they went over, and it was. He's like, "I didn't want," it's just.
Oh, yeah. That's Jesus.
Oh,
Uh,
that's Graham. Yeah, the planter.
Richard Hunt's gallery.
He was like, I
Yeah,
didn't plan it.
So they put a planter in front of the gallery. He didn't ask for
That's what he was
it.
dressed. I didn't know.
So since he didn't ask for it, he wasn't gonna clean it, and they fined him, and he was like, why you finding me? It ain't mine. I don't want it. And so that's basically what that was about.
And Jerry helped them.
Doesn't
They
make
figured it
sense.
out.
If I didn't ask for it, why I gotta clean it?
So you're appreciated. It's because
Yeah.
it's someone's helping us.
I forgot all about that planter too. So I hope you guys count it down.
Don't forget that one. Don't leave him out.
Okay, so let's, is there anything for brownfields you want to talk about?
Brownfield, no, actually Brownfield, we're still at Ox Creek. So what we try to do is when we have a meeting, is have meaningful meetings as opposed to just meeting because it's on the calendar. So right now, we're still, working with the Ox Creek project. And we all know that's a long-term project. So, Brownfield is committed to see that, through the end. The other projects I won't name right now because we haven't really vetted them out yet. So, but that's where we are right now.
Okay, thank you. Alex, would you like to give us a brief update on anything?
Oh, yeah, thank you, because I didn't make the last meeting. Thank you.
Well, just to add, as Commissioner said, the Brownfield Authority is becoming involved in assisting with some of the activities on Ox Creek. The Ox Creek project is really moving in high gear now. With the assistance of Eagle, DNR, Army Corps of Engineers, EPA, Drain Commission will be involved fairly soon, probably with some phases of it. We are going to begin from Highland, just on the other side here where Michigan Gas did their project, and start working our way back. Last month, a division of Eagle put 12 sensors in the creek bed between Highland out to Napier, so they could determine what degree of contamination and so forth was involved. We just received the paperwork back that I'm sitting and working on for the $3 million grant from the federal government through HUD. We've been awarded $1 million in Spark grant for initial work on Hall Park. And Corps of Engineers along with University of Michigan are assisting in doing a study addressing the flooding and so forth on Ox Creek, because we want to try and tame that so that whatever work we do downstream here doesn't get washed out when first big rain comes along or whatever. So there's quite a bit getting underway there with these projects. It's a tremendous amount to do to them. We've got invasive species that are gonna have to be eliminated, and some of those, if you saw what Michigan Gas had to do with the Japanese knotweed, require some really special kind of treatment to get rid of it. We intend to reestablish habitat in some parts of it for fish, wildlife, and animals and so forth. We'll have bank restoration work to do. But one of our greatest priorities is to address this flooding issue right up front, because that creek has washed out portions of the Hall Park bank. It floods the baseball field. It floods the parking area. We just gone through looking at some alternatives for building additional park, which will include some diagonal parking on Highland and across the street there, the street near, next to where Michigan Gas worked on Ox Creek at. But there are a lot of things that are in the works for that. As I said, the first $1 million Spark grant is the first phase of about a $3 million upgrade for the park itself. Ultimately, Ox Creek will probably run in excess of $20 million when it's all done. Then that includes going through cleaning out all the trash and so forth, some deforestation, so you can get back through there too, haul stuff in and out and so forth, and to try and beautify it. And ultimately, when it's all done, we hope to free up considerable acreage for some possible new housing, some commercial activity and so forth that begins to add to the city's tax base, population and so forth.
Thank you. So we move on to planning commission update. Mr. Reed, would you like to give us a little bit of an update?
Our consultant, Paul Lippens of McKenna, has released a 50% draft memorandum, which is an outline of the strategic plan to date. It contains most of the information that was provided so far, and we are in a position where it can be edited, meaning that for the citizens or anyone who's still interested in it has an opportunity for additional input. So if you go to the bestbenharbor.com website, you can access it there, PDF format. It's about 153 pages. They also include a zoning memorandum, which has some recommendations as to what the zoning should look like. And they also have the updated timeline, so you can see exactly where we are in the process. We're encouraging anyone who has not had a say as to what the strategic plan should look like or what they would like to see in it. You still have that opportunity for the feedback, and you can provide this on the website. There's a survey there that you can take, and several options where you can add your comments and concerns. So at this time, basically, we're looking at about a 50% completion of the strategic plan. That's about all I can tell you right now.
And thank you. And I wanted to add the advisory committee for the master plan will be meeting soon. Is that set for March 27th?
30 days. He didn't give us a firm date
Oh, I
yet.
thought, okay. So it isn't set yet, but for those of you who volunteered to be a part of that, just want to give you a heads up, you'll be getting a notice soon from McKenna Associates about what that date will be. That's the opportunity also for more community feedback and engagement over the draft memo that's out there now. So if you do have a chance, if nothing else, read the first 26 pages. You may have already seen some of the drawings and the data that's included for marketing and just demographic information. The rest of it explains what community engagement was, but if you want to know more specifically about what themes emerged and what people's views were, you can find it in that first section of this draft memo. So commit, if you can, to please just reading that to start with, and we'll putting on my planning commission hat. We'll look forward to hearing from everyone at our next planning commission meeting. Which is coming up April, you know what date?
First Tuesday in April.
It's the first Tuesday in April. Without looking at my calendar, I don't know.
1 p.m.
Yes.
At 1 p.m. here in the City Commission chambers. And those of you on the committee will get a notice soon. So I think that's it. Just a quick update on holiday lights. We're working on trying to get the last of them down, if any of them are still up. But also, we have received, as I mentioned earlier, a sponsorship fee from I&M, which will help us get started on the project for next year. We've reached out to the Benton Harbor area schools, and I'm awaiting a date from them about whether the 1st or the 8th of December will be best for them, so that we can have the Benton Harbor High School marching band again. That depends on the game schedules, so we're gonna wait for them to give us an answer one way or the other. But they have said that they are interested and they want to participate both in that and Halloween. So, I think,
On the back of that, no?
I think,
Okay.
if I could, a couple of other things I'd like to mention. I met recently with Van Fox from MHC Housing. The Corner Wall Street project, I believe, is moving still, going ahead. Thanks to a lot of effort from a lot of people, including Cornerstone. And we'll be meeting very shortly with the Project T regarding the remaining steps and requirements to complete what they need to do to try and get that project going. I'll also mention that in the upcoming Planning and Economic Development Committee meeting, I believe last week of this month, we're going to be putting a resolution forward, and we're going to be recommending that the commission approve going forward with the alley work that Cornerstone's been working on over there. It's gone through a lot of discussion, and we've had feedback coming from citizens regarding it. I personally recommend it. I think it's a good idea. I think it's good for Benton Harbor. I think it's going to help us with what we're trying to do in terms of increasing the activity in downtown that will generate more revenue, bring more people down, and I see it as a positive. So we'll hopefully get their concurrence. But in any event, we'll ask them to decide one way or the other. It's dragging on too long.
And that's this month, is it?
Yes, yes. And like I mentioned the Spark grant for Hall Park. Cornerstone assisted us with the local match that was required in that too. And I want to start openly mentioning people who are helping with things because we do appreciate when people step forward to try and help us get projects going and so forth. I think a lot of positive things are going on in Benton Harbor, and it takes a lot of people's shoulder at the wheel to make it happen. Yeah, and that includes all of you all and the contribution that you make and what you do. We appreciate it. Thank you.
You guys got the Spark grant already?
It's been awarded.
It has been, okay. Do you know when was work supposed to start?
That I don't know yet.
Okay,
These grants come with pages of prerequisites, environmental reviews and all kinds of stuff like that. So we're working that out.
Is it
You gonna
this-
say something, Jerry?
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you finished, John?
Oh, I was
I'm
just
sorry,
saying,
because
is
he
it
was.
this year?
We anticipate, yes.
yes, so, back to what, the holiday lights. Last year, maybe year before, talked to, Kathy, And also Richard mentioned about trying to add to the holiday lights event by having some ice sculptures out. And at one point, I think we talked about having each business sponsor their own block of ice, and we put it in the city center park, kind of make it the Ben Harbor Winter Wonderland.
That was something we did talk about. I think that's something, because we're gonna run short on time.
Yeah,
With our training,
Just mention it.
that we
Okay.
should meet together as a committee, and if Kathy, if you're interested in being a part of that work, it'd be great to explore the idea and how we might make that happen. Thank you. Just also, the State Theater update that's listed here, we have not taken any more steps on that this month. But I do plan for us to get that underway for next month. So you'll see a progress report there. And then we didn't have our communications update. So John, if you'd like to give us a few minutes while we wait for Clerk Moore to come and turn on the training. Would you like to?
Marketing update. We did not meet. We did have a kind of a small, kind of just a brief meeting with, it was, let's see, me, Deidre, and then we met with Demiron from DG Media. Briefly, just to talk through some options for creating some content. It sounds like our next step is to start putting together kind of a storyboard for the content, how we want it laid out on the website, and then how kind of DG Media can plug in and help us to create some of the content. There was a potential opportunity to work with the Benton Harbor High School with his program, because he's now leading that program. It sounds like they're not quite ready to engage us, just in terms of, I think the students being prepared to be able to start picking up the work. I think he has a more advanced class that has potential to eventually help us there. But it might be something where we need to, his suggestion for if we want to move forward quicker would be to just go through his company to create the content for now until that opportunity opens up to work with Benton Harbor High School program.
Have you had a chance to meet or talk to anyone about this other artwork that we need to have done?
We did. We met actually a couple of months ago on some of the artwork for a logo for State Theater and for some posters that could go up. We met with drawing a blank on her name right now, the woman from Glassworks.
Elisa Boyer?
Elisa, yeah. So we met with her and the artist contact that I had, Sean, and we had some great conversations on some ideas. He is available to do some of that work for us. We need to probably have another meeting to figure out exactly the content. One of the questions that came up was how we think the theater would be used. That would go into how we develop the logo. So, for example, if we, if we envision it being another theater, like for performing arts, that type of stuff, shows, the logo would look like it's a typical theater. But if it's like, we call it State Theater Event Center or something that's a totally different use, that could play into what the logo design turns out to be. So I think we'll just have to talk through kind of a theme that we want to move forward with, and we could essentially kick that work off, have that a logo created and some other assets like posters.
You know,
Is this-
Richard has already measured the marquee, and we want to get something in that marquee because it looks terrible, and we want people to know that we're moving on something. So as soon as we can get that artwork together and to a printer, I'd like to get some banners up on the front of the building. So people see life, and it would be nice to do that before the Blossom Parade.
So the roof can't be seen? Roof issues?
You can't see them from
That's, I'm just wondering, like, so is there some other stuff that'll be done as well to have a better appearance
well,
rather than just
talked about
putting a
putting
logo?
banners
Yeah.
down on the front over the poster boxes that are on either side. And then to fill in the marquee where the panels have been taken out, so that the marquee will have something on it for people to read as they go by.
Another,
That's it for now, unless we can get some volunteers to wash the windows.
I would
What else
promote,
we can do right up front.
I promote like scooping out the ceiling that's fallen to clean up that lobby area, which you can see if you nose by there.
So when is the next state theater meeting and who's on the committee? Can we start getting like a list of like who's on the committee? Because I know we mention them sometimes in meetings, sometimes, but I don't, I don't recall like seeing it in paper form or how
Well,
is,
We do have a list.
Well, I don't have
I have to find you an updated, well, the copy we have. But I think we also need to update who's on our committees,
exactly, yeah.
because perhaps there are people who would rather focus a little bit more on other things.
People
So-
have left.
So we can do that, right, and people have left, so maybe we can do that for our next meeting. I can get you the list as it stands. In the meantime,
Via email, do we have to wait for the meeting to see it?
not something like that, it's informational, so I can just send
And so
the
we can,
committee list
we
again.
can chat about that, right?
What we can chat,
Chat as to what it's about, what maybe, like, what does it mean? And you can describe it, what the committee is?
the committee descriptions and the
They'll all be.
assignments are all on the sheets. Individual people can have private conversations, but as a group, we cannot have, especially, if it's a group that could constitute a quorum, that cannot take place. And no decisions can be made unless they're made in a public meeting.
Right.
So,
So that also reminds me, like, the names that are part of the email when we get the agenda, who are these people? Are they still on the board? Are they coming off? What are we
People
doing
are-
about that?
listed on as our direct recipients it's addressed to
Mhm.
are people who have a role, including all of the board members and
Okay.
ex officio and Mr. Lowe.
Okay.
That's, those people are all committed to being on this board. So, they've all been appointed or have been, and have volunteered to serve. So, you can see there are people who are missing again this month. And we need to work on that. So appreciate everyone coming today.
So could that be included, as well? I know like you took people off that, or a person that's not here anymore, but in regards to who's all on it, like in regards to a quorum, who needs to be here for there to be a quorum? So that determines how many people can meet.
Everyone who receives that message directly as a notice to you, if you've been appointed and if you've seen the other names, you'll see who those people are.
Yeah, like
All the
Mohawk, like
CC
the mayor.
names, right, all the CC names are people in the community or people who might come and give us advice or report. And I think, have we updated the list?
It's just
So we have an updated list.
21 names. So some of them are, because even when I came
Looking
on,
at-
I never,
yeah, you're
the
not-
CC people was with,
we're not-
yeah.
Yeah, so that's those 21 names are just people I plugged in along with the board members. There are 10 appointed board members. So they're all listed there.
We haven't had any official meetings about the state yet.
No, no.
So there hasn't been any discussion about any possibility of renaming it? Or has that even been a thought?
I don't see us renaming it, but it could be something the committee could discuss.
Or they were talking about what it would be used for, it might be reflected in terms of
Oh,
doing
yeah.
that sort of thing.
Well,
But anyway,
yeah,
Just
so
kind of
I,
discussion.
you know, after this meeting, if you want to, those people who volunteered, and I think you probably remember who you are, let's set a meeting for that committee. And then as far as the assignments, I will send everyone the committee assignments again. We do have a board list that the clerk keeps, so I believe it's all updated at this point. There might be some contact information that isn't correct, but everyone is listed, so we can send that to you again too. Right. So if there are no other questions or concerns, it'd be nice to move on to our training.
I don't want to hold us up too much from the training, but just on, I guess, spring and cleaning up the flower pots, great. Is the street sweeper gonna see some action anytime? Does anyone know?
I don't know the exact schedule, but I'm sure the answer is yes.
It's typical, but not always, that the street gets a sweeping before the parade, which is good. Be great to see the sweeper out since it's paid for. And I've been thinking of doing some tree trimming. I asked your permission to do that, of, you know, suckers and such off the trees on Main Street. And I'll pursue that unless somebody stops me. That's the way to go about it.
All right.
All right.
One note, on next month's meeting, I will be on a convention, so I won't. I just looked it up.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so we have a motion to adjourn the meeting. We'll begin the training.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second,
All right.
I think John. Oh, John.
I had a quick question.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, back to the logo. Blossom time, what's the date on Blossom time?
13, March,
May
May 13th.
Okay.
1 to, well, they usually have 1 to 5, but it's usually over by 3:30.
Okay, we'll work towards getting the State Theater stuff done well before then.
All right. So we have a motion on the floor. Support, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. So this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank all of you.
Bye, Linda.
And we'll begin our training now. So I'll say goodbye, Linda. Thank
Bye,
you.
Linda.
Richard.
Thanks.
You too.
Good job.